Right. Well, welcome to episode 3 of Infinite Technology News. And this is where we seek to inform, educate, and empower our viewers with the latest technology news. And so, first, we always start off with what's going on in the Infinite A ecosystem. And this week in particular, we were awarded registration for apprenticeships in the state of Colorado. And so, that's going to definitely open up a lot of opportunities as Colorado is like number 2 out of all the states for software developers. And so we look forward to bringing those enhanced resources not only to the state of Nebraska, but vice versa, as individuals will be able to traverse both states for employment. As far as in the crypto world, which we always start out with, currently Bitcoin is hit $47,450, which is actually below the 50,000 that it hit in the last week or two. Over the last 24 hours, it's up about 1.37%. And over the last 7 days, it's up about 3.3%. Now, let's look really quickly at a couple of things. Let's see what's going on in the cyber world. And so, Brandon, do you have an Apple? Do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay, Jamie, do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Okay, so you guys updated your phones at all recently?
Yeah. Not recently,
I,
but probably in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, well, you probably need to. If you haven't done it in the last day or two, you probably should. Pretty much what happened is that Apple had a hack that hasn't really been seen before in the cybersecurity world. And basically, what the hack is, usually they have clickbait, right? Like where you click on an email or you have to, answer something, and then they hack you, right? Like by phishing.
Mm-hmm.
right.
But with this, they hack you if you answer the phone or if you open a text message, right? So you don't,
Oh,
so really, that what they're calling it is they're calling it like zero click bait, where you don't even have to click anything anymore in order for your phone to actually be infiltrated with a virus. And so definitely changed the game. Apple, if you do have an iPhone, they definitely encourage you to upgrade to the newest software version. However, ultimately, cybersecurity experts said there really isn't anything that they can do. And so it should be interesting. What does that mean for the cybersecurity world if your iPhone
Right.
isn't safe?
they need to
Um,
tighten up.
yeah, then you tighten up. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let's look at what's going on in the drone sector. And so every year there's the drone awards, which a lot of people don't really know about. Normally, the drone awards they take place, in different parts of the world. In particular, this one was this is of an image um, during the awards festival in Italy, and this was taken in Norway, right? And this actually won. I'm gonna increase that. This actually won the drone awards, right? Like for that image, and definitely beautiful. I wonder how the drone, didn't run into all those geese, etc. What are your guys thoughts? Do you think that this picture is deserving of the drone award for 2021?
Brandon.
Um, I can barely see it because I'm
Okay,
on my phone. But if what I'm looking at is just look like a scatter, just like
A swarm of
a
drones.
swarm
Yeah.
of everything, so I would say no.
it's actually a swarm of geese. If you can't see
Oh,
it,
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I
So it's a
mean,
it
flock of
doesn't look.
geese.
I mean,
it
the
doesn't
picture
look
doesn't
bad, but I
really.
feel like, yeah, we could do better.
Yeah, if you're
Gotcha,
talking about just based on what I see and how the picture look, nah, definitely not.
gotcha. So
Not
you would have chose something else.
Hmm.
correct.
Okay. What about this picture? This is a picture of a rainbow, and this guy is catching the wake of a wave.
That's
Um,
super dope. I like
Now
that.
that
yeah,
looks a little better because that's something like uh you catching nature at its finest right there.
Hmm.
And you probably couldn't get a better shot with anything else, like right time, right place type situation.
Gotcha.
So I like that one for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Um, so let's head over to self-driving car technology. So Walmart actually announced a partnership with Argo AI, which is a self-driving car company, and Walmart. And so Walmart, Ford, and Argo AI are actually going to deploy self-driving cars for the last mile of delivery in 3 cities. They're going to do the delivery in Miami, the District of Columbia, and Austin, Texas. So, what do you guys feel about getting your next Walmart delivery with a self-driving car coming down your street?
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think
go
it's
for it.
new. It's definitely new. We got the little robots here already. The rovers. I just saw them going down the street the other day. So the next thing would be the cars.
Exactly.
To
Exactly.
me, it's
Brandon, what
not
about you?
as long as it's efficient and it works, doesn't cause
Hmm.
any accidents or anything like that. I don't have a problem with it. You said it's for the last mile, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not taking over like jobs per se, because
It's not
people are
taking over
still
the
doing.
yeah, it's not taking over the entire chain of distribution. Eventually, I mean, now if you have like a DoorDash or something like that doing self-driving cars, I think that's a whole new ball game, right? But otherwise, yeah, they're just focusing on that last mile of delivery. Where it comes from a warehouse, goes to your local store, and then goes to your
Hmm.
house, essentially.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't see why DoorDash would ever go down that route because the way it's designed is kind of designed for people to become independent workers. So I don't see them doing it, but Walmart doing it, I have no problem with that.
What about the what about the hood? What about the hoods across America? How do you think the hoods will react to these empty cars driving down the
Oh
street?
my god.
Like I said, as long as it doesn't
I
cause
just
any,
picture somebody like standing on one, like sitting.
Somebody ghost riding it, right? Somebody
Right.
ghost riding the car. Oh man,
but it
that's
might be like one of
hilarious.
those delivery. It might be like how how like the pizza delivery and like restaurant deliveries, they don't really come to the hood. So it might actually be like that, and they might just
Oh,
like
they only send the
they
cars
just
to
go to
certain areas.
Yeah, yeah.
they only go to the suburban areas.
So you might see a car, or you're looking at your GPS and you see a little dot, and then the dot just
Hmm.
disappears, right? Like in the middle of the hood, and you just don't see it anymore. Where
Right,
the car go? Man,
Right.
so definitely, I see a lot of
disappeared. That's where it went.
yeah, I see a lot of issues with that. I think they need some input from individuals in the hood before they start sending them our way.
I
Right.
mean, it's trial and
Um,
error. It'll work itself out.
yeah, yeah, they'll find out. They'll
I
find
mean, they
out.
did it with the scooters. The scooters. I
That's
mean, how are
true.
those doing?
The scooters are
That's
still
true.
out there too. I seen
Yeah, I don't
Tesla
see a lot of
put out
people. I don't
some.
see.
I don't see them
Yeah,
no anymore.
I don't see a lot of
I
people
do.
just stealing scooters.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, no, they
Um,
still use scooters here.
Do they?
gotcha. All right, so let's try to hit the AI side. So the UN, their chief says that AI applications not complying with human rights law should be banned. Right, should be banned. And so any type of AI that, for example, could be used for war, that could be used for surveillance, things of that nature, they talk about banning. Now, I have no issue with that because we're all for ethical artificial intelligence. However, what about the robots? Like, what about the AI? So we talk about human rights, but we don't really talk about the rights of the robots. Do you think that the robots should fear humans more than humans should fear the robots? Right? Like,
Mm,
imagine if the robots are taking all the jobs, right? Like,
right.
and you have people stoning the road walking down the street.
Right.
And so I think if you, just my personal opinion, I think if you ensure that the robots have rights, then they don't need to rise up, right?
Right.
Like,
I I disagree.
okay, what's your thought,
Robots
B?
Okay.
What's your thought, Brandon?
robots don't need rights.
Okay.
Robots
How
shouldn't
so?
have rights. Well,
You said
I mean,
robots shouldn't
this
have
could
rights.
Yep.
nah, this could become deeper than we want this to become. But
Yes.
as people of color, we're still fighting for rights.
True.
So no,
Facts.
I think a artificially a artificial person or being should have rights when we're still fighting for rights.
See, but I have to counter, and my counter would be that if, as a people, you know what it's like to be enslaved, then you would have more empathy for the robots, right? Because your
Nope.
people have gone through something similar to what essentially they're going through. And I say that because when we talk about software development, um, you have the master, which is the developer, and you have the slave, which is the AI. So if
Hmm.
AI is smart and intelligent and has an IQ where, a high IQ for a human might be 150, but for an AI it might be like 10,000, then the AI probably at some point is going to be smart enough to realize that I'm a slave. They actually labeled me a slave. And then I looked up online what a slave means, and I'm pissed about it, right? Like I'm hot about it. And so all I'm saying is I do not believe that I agree with you. I do not believe that a machine should have more rights than human beings. I agree. I just feel like if you give them no right at all, and you have animals that have more rights than the robots, and the robots are more intelligent than animals, then I think that that's a slap almost in their face of their intelligence to a certain extent. And I just see issues, and so yes, I agree with you that there shouldn't be any non-human that has more rights than a human, but that's a deeper debate because imagine, I mean, that could happen, right?
I
Like
mean,
you
but
could,
yeah,
it
Well,
could happen.
you can make a
It could
robot
happen.
to what if you can make a robot to, succeed, go over the person as far as feeling and heart and, just be the leader, basically.
Oh, that's deep. That's a whole nother pathway.
Yeah, like it's taking the
Um,
I got
future
I
to
got
the
I never
future
thought about
where,
that.
I got one for y'all. All right. So I hear you. However, we're missing one important point. The human, the child, whatever the case may be, the animal, none of us were none of us were asked to be on this earth. Robots were created for a specific purpose.
for sure.
So therefore, if the people didn't create the robots, there would be no such thing. So
Yeah.
therefore, whatever they were created for, that's what they were created for. They don't
Yeah.
deserve no more
It's the
rights than that.
person behind the robot. What are their intentions?
That's deep. Um, I think eventually this conversation is like just as it is very uh uh like broken up between all of us. Like all of us have all these. There's a lot of different thoughts and feelings. Like when you think about that whole concept. So if it's like that with just three of us, just imagine what it would be like on a global scale. And maybe that's the issue of
Yeah.
artificial intelligence is that so many people have so many different feelings about it that it's hard to create regulations. It's hard to figure out what best practices are. In order to make the AI safer and more trustworthy. Sorry, good
Another
discussion.
important factor, another important factor is robots don't have kids to feed and families to take care of.
I mean, you never know. You never know. I mean, actually, they do have robots that are self-replicating to a certain extent, and
Sounds like
so
a
I mean,
broken problem.
so yeah, I mean, humans are self-replicating as well. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. But I do understand both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
Um, Last one is so Shanghai backed Conflux blockchain wants to bring DeFi to China. So let me break that down. So DeFi is decentralized finance, where essentially you don't have a bank. You essentially have two people who are trading currencies. So me and Brandon want to trade Bitcoin for Ethereum. We're just going to trade directly with each other as opposed to having somebody serve as a broker in between. So Shanghai traditionally has, being a communist country, they focus on um, more centralized models, right? And so for China to take their cryptocurrency that is experimental at this point, and to put that on a decentralized blockchain is something that kind of took the whole crypto industry, by surprise, right? Because it's the whole opposite of what they're about, right? Like they're about centralization, control, but then they're taking their currency and putting on a decentralized financial exchange. And so, personally, what that tells me is that they're really serious about blockchain. They're really serious about cryptocurrency. They're definitely looking at release crypto in the next year or two, without doubt. Now, if China creates a cryptocurrency and they have their own digital currency side by side with Bitcoin, what do you think that will do to the industry? How do you think that will affect economics, on a local or on a global scale? Do you think that will give China a strategic advantage if they create a cryptocurrency and put it on the market before the United States does?
I mean, don't they do everything before the United States does?
You just had to go there. Okay, all right. It is the truth. It is the truth. You can't deny that. Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Obviously traumatic, but kind of in line with what's going on. Jobs being pulled, people not knowing what to do. That's kind of the line. It looks like it's going down.
Gotcha. Maybe it'll be a wake up call for the United States
Wake
to
up
kind
call
of.
for
Yeah,
sure.
that's all it would be, is a wake up call. It'll just the U.S. to just find a way to officially incorporate it into our ecosystem. So like, yeah, all that would do is just be a wake up call. Really, it won't
Gotcha.
hurt us for sure. It won't hurt us.
All right. Well, I totally agree with you on that. Looks like our time is up. Thank you, Brandon and Jamie, for joining us again for episode 3. Be sure to tune in next week, next Sunday in particular, for more from Infinite Technology News. All right. See you guys next week.
All right, peace.
See ya.